Ford has announced it's investing $4.5 billion towards developing electric cars. The company has also promised to add 13 new electric cars and hybrids to its lineup by 2020. Wall Street Journal reporter Mike Spector joins me now to talk about this. A lot of money to be investing in electric cars and hybrids, so why are they making this major investment at this time?
In a word, regulation. Okay, so in 10 years, cars across the fleet in this country have to average almost 55 miles a gallon. What's the average fuel economy of the fleet of cars on the road right now? More like 25, and it's going down.
I was going to say in the 20s, right? It's actually going down.
It's going down because gas is cheap. More than half the vehicles being sold right now are gas-guzzling trucks and SUVs, and it's very hard to get Americans to buy these alternative powertrain vehicles, especially electric cars.
Now, I must say it's a bit of a turnabout for Ford because a number of years ago, actually in San Francisco when I was working there, I had done a story about Ford. They sold these cars called the Think car. Then they pulled them back in and said they were going to crush them, which caused major controversy. People who had them loved them. We interviewed an environmental vice president at Ford who, when we pushed her on this issue, said, look, do you really think that people want to drive these little go-karts around anyway, was her comment. Do you think that they've undergone a change in thinking on this subject, or is it just that with the regulation, they've just got to get to that number somehow?
It's a little from column A and a little from column B, and they brought in a new strategist named John Cassessa, who's looking at autonomous vehicles and things like that. Regulation is definitely playing a big role, as I said. And Tesla has emerged on the scene. Their cars are very expensive. It's a niche market at this point. They want to go mass market, but that's a $30 billion company now in a very short period of time. General Motors is worth about $50 billion. So you have a situation where Tesla is pushing the industry, but General Motors, Ford, maybe a little bit further behind than GM, but all automakers now, you're going to see over the next year or two announcements and plans on electric vehicles because no matter what, they've got to add these things to their fleets.
And is that what it ultimately takes? That you need all the big major players, the auto companies, to jump in and all play on that same playing field in order to make this realistic and actually happen nationwide in a major way?
You are hitting on the main conundrum here with this issue, which is it's a chicken or egg issue. Do we have regulations that force companies to build these vehicles? Remember, the regulations are for vehicles sold. So your calculation on meeting corporate average fuel economy standards is based on vehicles that are being sold. What are consumers buying? And gas is really cheap. They're not buying more expensive vehicles like electric vehicles. They're buying vehicles that get less miles to the gallon. Nevertheless, the regulations loom, so automakers have to build these vehicles. And the question is, if you keep building these things and keep making these investments, can you make it a mass market proposition? Can the price of batteries go down? Can you make it so these things will be widely available and consumers will buy in?
And key to the question, what makes these cars more attractive to consumers and it gets them excited in a way that turns them away from something they've known for how many years? Gas-powered cars.
Right.
What is the trick? Do you think anybody knows?
Well, if they knew the answer, we wouldn't have seen documentaries like Who Killed the Electric Car.
Right.
They've been struggling with this for a very long time. And it's a different market in the U.S. There are high gas taxes, high fuel taxes overseas in Europe. We don't have that here, and it's never going to happen. I mean, it's like a poisonous debate to even bring up in Washington.
Well, we'll be watching this. We'll be watching the cars, see when they come out. Mike Spector with the Wall Street Journal, thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.